No, I'm not going to read this. Hey, everybody. This is the hottest commodity in pro wrestling, the manager's manager, the maker of mayhem, the bringer of boom, the wager of war, the instigator of illuminating truth, and as of recently, the collector of champions. And you're watching a Hashtag Truth with Scott Larson. Now, get out of here.
Watch it all fall down around you now. Was it ever really worth it? Having your kingdom crumble to the ground because you never had the courage. Stand up, stand up, stand up, stand up, stand up.
This is 4-Foot Batman. And 4-Foot Batman knows the home of great collectibles at awesome prices, retro toys and collectibles, movie memorabilia, Magic the Gathering cards, wrestling figures, Hot Wheels, the always popular Funko Pops, and much, much more. He knows the Hall of Collectibles is located in downtown Cherryville, North Carolina, at 400 East Main Street. Give them a call today, 980-989-5181. Retro Toys and Collectibles, the heavyweight champion in collecting.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Hashtag Truth. Tonight we have Mr. Cole McAbee, Mr. PWU. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing fine, Scott, and let me be, I guess, the first person to welcome you back to Hashtag Truth right here on Facebook, YouTube. Where else can we find you?
Right now it's Facebook and YouTube.
Well,
I'm reducing my workload a little bit. I have to, doctor's orders, but I'm going to be trying to build up my YouTube and Facebook fan base.
No, but I'm going to be honest with you. I mean, you sound better. You definitely look better. I mean, you can definitely tell.
I feel better. I actually got to blow my nose yesterday. My cousin passed away, and I was crying, and all this stuff built up in my nose, and I had to blow it, and no blood came out. So I'm good. I'm good. Yep. Doctor said I'm good. So I'm feeling good. But we're not here to talk about me. We're here to talk about Pro Wrestling Union and all the great things that are coming up, sir. We have definitely, all this stuff that's coming out on your page and you're putting on my page, and I'm loving it. Let's get right into it, sir. So what's coming up next for Pro Wrestling Union?
Well, the next show. Well, before we get to the show on the 26th, I will mention that this coming weekend, it's going to be American Wrestling League. They're having their first ever show at the Welford Pavilion, Welford, South Carolina. Limited seating, a few tickets that they were selling. One of the matches that was signed was a Pro Wrestling Union Heavyweight Championship match. The All-American Blue Shipper, Chase Emery, versus Luka Daniels. So that's gonna be a hell of a match. Now, Saturday, March 26th, Union, South Carolina, at the Union County Recreation Department, the Wrestling Classic.
Okay, let me go ahead and put that up for you real quick. I'm lagging behind because I forgot something, but okay.
Oh, okay, that's fine.
Here we go. The Pro Wrestling Classic. There we go.
The Wrestling Classic, and I'll explain a little bit more on this poster. Now, of course, if Chase Emery is victorious on March the 5th, he goes against NWA superstar, a second-generation wrestler of Steve Corino, the last bastion of professional wrestling, Colby Corino. We also have a rematch for the Carolinas Championship. The Infinite Man, Tim, will be facing the champion, the top dog of the industry, Bebop. This time, they went to a time limit draw. No time limits. There is no countouts, no DQs. It's either pinfall or submission or knockout. One of these two have to win. And there's a little bit of a change here because in professional wrestling, the one thing that is certain, card is always subject to change. Right. As you can see behind me, I have the Pro Wrestling Union Tag Team Championships. The Heat Seekers, who were scheduled to defend in a triple threat tag team match against Soul Patrol and the Heart Killers, Chris Vallow and Tommy Django. Unfortunately, due to scheduling conflicts, they're a high in demand tag team. Everything was set. Then something came about to where they were not able to make it. Instead of rescheduling because they knew of everything that got put into this, we talked it out. They decided that they would forfeit over the titles. And we've already got it arranged for sometime in the future that they will come back. And whoever the champions are, they'll get a shot back at these.
Nice.
So we are still going to have tag team championships crowned, but you're going to have Dion Johnson, the Black Cat, and Sweet Dreams as partner, a.k.a. the Soul Patrol, probably the most popular tag team in the Carolinas.
And by the way, happy birthday, Black Cat.
That's right. It is Dion Johnson's birthday, and depending on who you believe, he's either 43 or 65. But the team of the Soul Patrol, they'll be teaming. They will be facing most popular tag team of the Carolinas against the least popular tag team of the Carolinas, with locally hated Chris Vallow and Tommy Django, the Heart Killers. Also on top of this, we got the returning Peterbilt. One of Lodi's prize students, former bodybuilding champion, who just got back from the state of Texas from his tour over there with Christian Wrestling Federation. He's going to be stepping in the ring with somebody that's going to be making his Pro Wrestling Union debut. From Arkansas, he's the pretty boy, the CEO of the Mofos, as he likes to call them, Matt Odom.
Wow.
So he's going to be making his debut. And what else do we have here? We also have more debuts. We have King Enterprises, who is finally going to be stepping foot into a Pro Wrestling Union event. So Michael King, the Asian sensation, is bringing his prized pony, if you want to call it, Uno Royce.
The Rolls
Royce of wrestling. He is going to be going against Mr. Smiley, Mr. Emoji, Mr. Nice Guy, Jamal Hewins, one of the most fan favorite guys in professional wrestling. So,
right. Okay. Ron Emerson said, "What's up, fellas? Guys, check out Ron Emerson's podcast, The Wrestling Wire. You don't want to miss it. If you can't find it on his page, I always share it to my page. Sunday night, 4:00 every week. Don't miss it, guys. Great show." Thomas, go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, Ron Emerson. That's right, Thomas. You came early. I'm sorry. but anyway, no, Ron's show. If you haven't watched it yet, he covers local independent wrestling stuff. He covers everything from your top promotions, WWE, Impact, AEW, anything that comes up around that scene. He analyzes every show that goes on for that week. It's a lengthy podcast, but he goes over everything from top to bottom.
Yes, he does.
So there's absolutely nothing you cannot miss. I mean,
and definitely, if you watch the show and you put up anything on there, he will put it up there. He will have a conversation with you. If you don't, if what you think he's saying is total hogwash, you say it, he will have a conversation with you. So he's definitely a guy to watch, without a doubt. Jonathan Darwin said, "What's up? What's going on, Jonathan?"
Good evening, Jonathan. How are you, sir?
He was saying the Rolls Royce of professional wrestling, Royce, when we were talking about him.
Royce.
Zach Zuko, who's going to be on #Truth, I believe, this Friday. I believe he's my Friday episode. So stick around and watch him. And Thomas said, "How's it going, guys?" It's going great. It's going great. We're sitting here talking with Cole McAbee of Pro Wrestling Union. He's telling us about the classic.
It's going great, Thomas. You came early, man. You didn't come in 45 minutes late like I did, So.
Yeah, he did promise you he was going to come in 45 minutes into the show, didn't he?
Yeah, we're still working on that Real Housewives of Independent Professional Wrestling too.
I would watch that.
That would be so bad. So bad for everybody. So bad.
Jonathan Darwin, yes, there you go. He said, "I'm good. I'm always looking for new bookings." He is a great commentator, a great ring announcer. He does it all, folks. So watch out for Jonathan Darwin. Thomas Scott said, "Yeah, I know." No. We were talking about that when Thomas was on. We were talking about, getting a show where the wife, or having one of the wives come out during a match for one of the wrestlers, have a mystery opponent, and then the wrestler comes out there, gets in the ring, and then the wife comes out to somebody else, just play some music and the wife comes out. Could you imagine the look on the wrestler's face?
Well, let's put it this way. If that was ever the scenario, if you ever walk into like a show or anything like that, and already in the ring is the wrestler, the everything that you already know about this guy, I'm gonna use Thomas
Right.
as an example.
Thomas said there ain't no way he's gonna do it.
Yeah, we're gonna use you because okay, so he's no longer Dizzy. He's now Thomas Grimm, right?
Right, Thomas Grimm.
He is Thomas Grimm. Okay. Whole new breed of cat. This guy is a tough individual. This is a guy that, can take bullets, bounce off of them like Superman. You can wreck this guy with a wrecking ball and he won't budge an inch. But if he sees Mrs. Grimm walk through that curtain, he becomes a member of the job squad. He lays down quicker than Jeff Jarrett for Hulk Hogan.
That's great. Oh gosh, it's awesome. Oh, there you go. Oh, Steven Spangler. What's going on, Steve?
That's my guy right there. That's my guy. Shay
McGrady. Ron Emerson said if Kim K and their bullcrap can make a show, there's no reason it wouldn't make some form of money. Look at the total Bellas. I mean, it would make. I mean, for North Carolina, did a small budget show in North Carolina around this area with wrestlers that were well known in this area. Oh my goodness!
I in all honesty, I think it would actually ruin a lot of the wrestlers if we were to focus on the Carolinas, because especially the guys that you see on the day-to-day basis, like on the wrestling scene, they're just like total badass individuals.
Yeah,
and then you see these total badass individuals, and they're carrying around the purses and all the bags. And saying, yes, dear. You need me to wash the okay, yes, ma'am. I don't want, but I wash the dishes. Okay, yes, ma'am. And then you get that cutaway thing is like, I got her where I want her.
No. I'm not talking about like a reality show where we follow the wrestler and the wife around at all. No. The whole show is going to be booked like a real wrestling show, but we go to different shows, and every show is going to have a mystery opponent and the wife comes out. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So you wouldn't know, the wrestler wouldn't know what was going on until after it happened, and then that would be all the things that would be shown on the show. I would, you definitely ruin a bunch of wrestlers if you followed them around every day.
Oh, yeah,
without a doubt.
But we were talking about wrestling shows and things like that. I think I covered all the bases for March the 26th, which once again, Union, South Carolina, Union Recreation Department, 111 Thomas Street. It's right there near the Health Department, which is at 115 Thomas Street. It's probably easier to type in 115 on your GPS. I'm just making sure I covered. Nope, there's one match I did forget. Now that I'm looking at it, it's not directly on the poster. I just so happened to see the individuals that are part of that match. As we know, Randy Wayne, he lost the Pro Wrestling Union Championship to Chase Emery. Okay. After the match was all over and done with, Antonio Morgan pulled the dupe, spears Randy Wayne, and then after the match, power bombs him. So Randy Wayne's going to get his opportunity against Antonio Morgan. So once again, you're having the irresistible force going against the immovable object. So that's not going to be a wrestling match. I can tell you right now, that's going to be a straight up fight. So we had to cover double insurance just for this match.
Oh wow!
So we're going to get some barricades too. Luckily, I was able to find some barricades, so that way it's for the safety of the fans. because we don't want any situation where they're going to be put in harm's way.
Right.
Those two being together and knowing the way that Randy Wayne operates in the ring, it's probably best to have something that keeps the fans away from that action. As Bill Hazelwood says, you go to a wrestling show, you're 10 feet away from the ring and 15 feet away from the violence. So
Right.
I don't even think you're going to get 15 feet away from it. You might get about 5 feet away from it at this point. So
Yeah. He's liable to send people into orbit. So, all right, sir. Well, we're going to hit our first commercial break. And when we come back, we're going to talk about one of my favorite shows that you produce for Pro Wrestling Union. We're going to talk a little bit about Explosion. So we'll be back right after this short message from L&L Fence Company.
L&L Fence Company, specializing in custom fencing from wood and aluminum to chain link. 9331 Albemarle Road in Charlotte, North Carolina. Give them a call today for your free estimate. 704-563-9544. L&L Fence Company, the king in custom fencing.
All right, there you go, L&L Fence Company. Now, I will get to all the comments and questions here in a minute, but this is something I've always wanted to talk to you about because we've kind of went over it, some of the shows and that. But I want to really pick your brain about how this came along. I'm gonna put the picture up here. Pro Wrestling Union Explosion. You'll find it on YouTube. What was the premise? What started you out on wanting to do a show specifically for YouTube?
Okay, well, this actually started during the COVID period. We had that lull where there wasn't a whole lot of wrestling going on. There was some wrestling over in North Carolina, and some shows were decent shows. And this is the area that some people called the COVID Dome during this particular time. There were some shows that were coming out of there.
Thomas, we affectionately call it that.
Yeah. So there was some good stuff that was actually coming out of there at that particular building, but there were some shows that went into the building that weren't the greatest, in my opinion.
Okay.
And then there was a couple of shows that didn't take place in that building, but were still right there close to North Carolina that I was like, I'm sorry, it was cringeworthy. So I thought we need to do a show that would be like a very good produced show with some top talent for the Carolinas. So we did the tag team tournament, which we had All Worm, No Soul. We had the Heat Seekers,
Hey.
Chase Emery and Woo Paul as a tag team. That was the first time that Chase Emery was with us. Inglorious, Jeff Conley and Aiden Cross. And one of the matches, it was the only singles match, which was a 2 out of 3 falls against Randy Wayne and Austin Jordan for the Pro Wrestling Union Heavyweight title. Well, that show actually got a lot of good feedback. In fact, it's like the highest viewed program that I've got on my YouTube page, I think. So as we were starting to like leak out some videos of some of the matches and stuff we were getting to do from time to time, we got to that point where COVID was kind of shutting things down again right there at the beginning of 2021. Right. So the whole thing developed where I was like, well, what if we were to record enough content and release it monthly? Kind of like how you would do a regular wrestling show. The only difference is we just do like 2 or 3 matches at a time, minimal talking, just at least enough that we were able to carry information on to the next episode. And we managed to do that January 30th of last year. It was done at the Union County Fairgrounds in the building there.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, I got a message that just popped up on my phone. I was trying to read it. But and it was an empty arena thing because, we couldn't have a crowd, but we had a couple of people that just randomly showed up, and we did let them in, let them sit down and watch and everything like that. Recorded those episodes, we put them out, and that carried us over to doing live shows again, which started back in April. So I kind of put Explosion on the back burner. It was Luke Adams, the guy for Blue Horse Media, and a former referee of mine. He was the one that had brought it back up. And he was like, hey, man, I think I think you got something here. I mean, a lot of people watched this. A lot of people dug what we were doing here. What if we were to kind of tweak the format a little bit, you know, make it more of a highlight show of some of the best matches that we have putting on? So the only difference is, instead of like a continuing storyline, it's a highlight of what's going on. But yet, if you pay attention to our shows, a lot of this stuff carries over from angles that are happening at our shows. You know, there was the feud between Chase Emery and Landon Hell. That carried over. The match where Landon Hell won the title to where he eventually dropped the title back to Randy Wayne. That all carried over to the eventual match of Randy Wayne and Chase Emery, which was in this last episode.
Right.
So this is stuff that's actually taking place at our live shows. And that was mostly Luke wanting to spearhead the whole thing. And it's been a really great experience. And we're actually going to be continuing this on a bi-monthly basis to kind of coordinate with bi-monthly shows for this year. So you get you're going to get a good live show. You're going to get, and then the following month, you're going to get Explosion. Which is a little bit different what other promotions are doing. But in all honesty, my whole thing is that I can run monthly. That's not a problem. But what I wanted to do was I wanted to put enough concentration to one show that either I could put out 12 shows that can range anywhere between mediocre to good, or can concentrate on 6 shows a year and actually have them be great to fantastic shows. So that was my whole idea on that. And that's not saying anybody else's product is not good. That's just
Right.
one way of focusing one show at a time and not feel like I got to rush to get to the next one.
Right. You're putting a lot of emphasis on these shows to make them really good.
Yes. So, I mean, like, for instance, we got NWA star Colby Corino for this one, and something we'll talk about in a moment, I'm sure. We got AEW star JD Drake coming in May. And I got a few other little surprises that I can't leak out now.
But yeah, Explosion reminds me a lot of the NWA format.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not saying, you know, not trying to compare it to NWA, but it reminds me of that format. And that's what makes it, you know, great for me. I haven't missed the show yet. I believe you're on your 6th episode.
Mm-hmm. On the 6th episode. And then, of course, next month, we'll have episode 7 right there in April. Then, of course, we'll go into May. And then, of course, in June, we're actually going to do a whole series of summer episodes.
Right.
So that'll be expanded a little bit more. So you'll get a lot more content over the summer, but then we'll go back to doing the bi-monthly. So.
Okay. So, all right, let me go ahead and do this, because we talked about this show, and I promised you I would do it, and I didn't. It my mind, all the medicines, you get it. Let me go ahead and play the video for the classic that you're going to have, and so everybody can see on screen some of the great wrestlers and some of the great action that they'll be seeing. And then when we come back, we'll go into the other things that are coming up, because I'm excited. He's got like the next 2-3 months planned, people. This is amazing. I love this. I love this about Pro Wrestling Union. They don't think just 1 month ahead. They're going out, and you're knowing, you know, what's going on way ahead of time, and it gives you plenty of time to get your ticket money up. Gives you plenty of time to, you know, get your money up to buy merch and all that other good stuff. He gives you plenty of time for all that. And I love that as a fan. I'm not even going to lie to you. I love that as a fan when a promoter does that. So I have to say, Cole, thank you for doing that. So here's the video on the Wrestling Classic. Here we go.
Ladies and gentlemen, professional wrestling returns to Union, South Carolina on Saturday, March the 26th at the Union County Recreation Department as Pro Wrestling Union presents the Wrestling Classic. See some of the greatest professional wrestling action that you have known from Pro Wrestling Union. You'll see some of the best superstars in the independent scene, such as The Anomaly, Antonio Morgan, The Outlaw, Randy Wayne, Black Cat, Dion Johnson, the Tag Team Champions, the Heat Seekers, the Carolinas Champion, the Great Dane of the Game Bebop, and also don't forget the main event as NWA superstar Colby Corino challenges Chase Emery, the All-American Blue Chipper, for the Pro Wrestling Union Heavyweight title. All of this and more on March the 26th, Union, South Carolina at the Union County Recreation Department, the Wrestling Classic.
Now, again, card subject to change. Unfortunately, the Heat Seekers will not be there. They had to, you can tell the story again if you want to, but they had to give back their titles because of obligations that were just not going to allow them to wrestle here at Pro Wrestling Union. And Cole being the nice guy that he is, the opportunities that are out there, you know, Cole's not going to go, no, you have to be here. I know Cole too well.
Well, here's the thing. When we originally had everything set up for the beginning of the year and everything like that, I knew automatically that they would not be available for March to begin with. The Heat Seekers are, I mean, it goes without saying, they're the best unsigned tag team, not just in the Southeast. Okay? These guys are legitimately the best unsigned tag team, and it's only a matter of time before contracts are signed for these guys. Okay? Yes. That is not, I can say, yeah, that's my opinion. No, this is borderline fact. Okay? Matt Sigmund, just a straight shoot here, is probably one of the most professional and one of the most solid-minded guys in the business today. He has learned a lot, both him and Elliot. They have learned from guys like beautiful Bobby Eaton, God rest his soul. They have learned from other great minds like Dr. Tom Pritchard. Right. They are 4-time NWA World Tag Team Champions. They have toured Europe and Japan. You know, they have wrestled for some great companies throughout the years, and I actually got a call from Sigmund. Wasn't too long when I was already starting to put things together, and he said, "Hey boss, guess what?" I said, "What's that, sir?" And he said, we can defend those titles if you want us to on March 26th if you'll have us." I said, "I would love to have you guys. You guys are great." So we got everything set up. They were already obligated for PWX, which that was already taken care of before. So they have 2 shows going on that day. One that's early in the afternoon and then the evening show. They were scheduled for the early in the evening show. But then some things changed. To where they were going to be needed for the evening show. So they already actually had prior obligation. Right. So Sigmund, he called me up. It was like late at night. And he said, "Hey, boss man, you know, I hate to do this to you." And he was so apologetic and everything like that. And I told him, I said, "Well, dude," I said, "you guys have never bailed or bolted on me." And we talked about future plans. And of course, I know what their schedule is like, and I knew some other things that were going on. So they offered up to give back the belts and everything. So
true professionals.
Yeah, they're absolutely great professionals. In fact, something I'll go ahead and mention with them right now. They were actually booked for another show that they had to give up an opportunity for because they are one of the entrants to the Crockett Cup that's being held over there in Tennessee at the fairgrounds on March the 19th. And this is a huge deal for them because this was a video that Matt Sigmund had put out, how he had just thought about everything that he had learned from Bobby, and he can't think of anything better to being part of that tournament and go all the way.
Right.
As a tribute to beautiful Bobby. So I'm rooting for them. I hope that they make it all the way to the finals. I hope they win that trophy, and I hope they get their shot again to become once again NWA World Tag Team Champions. That is my hope for them.
Now, I missed the question, so I'm going to apologize to Luke. While the comments were scrolling, they were scrolling so fast that I had missed it. So I've got a question from Luke for you. How did you start in the business?
How did I start in the business? Okay. So It's a little wonky because my first time in the business, my older brother was actually already starting to wrestle in North Carolina. I went to a show, and it wasn't a whole lot of people there. It was like right there in Whittier, North Carolina, in this old daycare center. Well, they had one of these guys here who was one of their locals, and he's supposed to be the heel. Well, he's like bad mouthing everybody, and he gets to my side, and I start talking shit right back to him. And I know it doesn't seem like it when we talk and everything like that, that I have the kind of personality to make somebody stutter and shut up, but I made this guy stutter and shut up. You know. So the guy that was the promoter and I guess his assistant, Scotty Black, and I cannot remember what the guy's actual name is. Everybody just called him Big Wop. That's all I remember.
Big Wop.
And then they start talking to me, and I'm sure Scotty Black, if he's seeing this, he knows who I'm talking about. Well, the guy says, well, hey, man, are you a worker? And I'm like, well, I've got a job. I didn't understand the wrestling lingo. I was 18,
right,
seeing my brother wrestle, who had been doing this for just a few months. But eventually the guy said, okay, do you have like a suit that you can wear? I'm like, sure. Do you have like sunglasses? Great. Yeah. All right. What's your name, kid? My name's Cole McAbee. Terrible name. Change your name. Nobody's going to come pay a ticket to see Cole McAbee. So I had a manager name. It was Dylan McGregor is what I ended up picking, which is not a great name either. So I started with that. I stuck with a Scottish Irish name, regardless. But anyway, but I started doing other jobs, not just in management. I started doing some commentary for a promotion that was based out of Lancaster, South Carolina, called Impact Championship Wrestling. It was headed up by James Strange, and it was booked by Thomas Simpson. You're probably familiar with that name. Right, that was my introduction to Thomas. But anyway, eventually I made my way over to Greenville, South Carolina, over at Brody Chase's. He had a school there, which he also hosted several wrestling events. He had like a family night on a Friday night, a standard wrestling show on a Sunday night, students only show on a Sunday night, and I think Wednesday nights was like the hardcore night, or like the adult wrestling where cursing and all that stuff was allowed. So I started learning from there, still as a manager. But I thought to myself, well, heck, if I'm just gonna do all this, learn the business this way, taking these bumps and everything, I was like, I might as well do it.
Right.
So I did that for a little while until I could no longer go back. Then Derek Vanderford and I, who we have known each other for years and years and years, went to the same high school and everything like that. He had acquired a ring, and he was like, well, hey man, are you still working and all this other stuff? And I'm like, I don't have time. So he's like, all right, so I got a ring, just come over, work out with me. And we would work out like in 20-degree weather outside in this dinky ring that was not the safest thing to be in, just so that way we could go to shows and do all this other stuff. And then eventually I got hooked up with Manny Fernandez, the Raging Bull, who taught me more about wrestling. So it was one of these things that I kind of fell into it one way, and then it took a complete different direction. And then like from there, from like 2005 till about just a couple of years ago, minus a period where I left the business altogether, I was in the ring and occasionally helped book and help promote shows. And now I'm doing the promoting full time. My body thanks me for it.
Missy wants to know who's your brother.
Okay.
You mentioned-
well, his name is really Tom. But over in North Carolina, he used to wrestle by the name of Cyrus. That was the name that he went by. In fact, this is a very interesting story. At the time when he was in North Carolina, he worked for one of the radio stations there. That was his shoot job. Right. And he eventually left all that. And and at the same time, he left wrestling all at the same time. He went back years later just to kind of visit the area and stuff like that. And he ran into that promoter, the guy that said Big Wop. Like I said, I can't remember his name. But apparently he worked in real estate or something like that. But he just went by the place to see if he was still there. And apparently this guy's skin turned white when he saw my brother walk in the door. Apparently they thought that he died in some car accident. That was the reason why that nobody had seen him anymore, and just it formed into a story. And to confirm this story, one of the wrestlers from North Carolina, he went by the name of STD.
I know who you're talking about.
Yeah. Well, I ran into him at one of the Heroes to Legend shows not too long ago, the last one that was ran last year. He was there, show support. He actually wrestled on the card as well.
Right.
And I asked him if he remembered me because I managed my brother at that time.
Right.
And then when I told him the name Cyrus, and he goes, "Hey man, yeah, I hate what happened to your brother." And I went, I was like, well, I'm going to need you to sit down for this. And I said, I really want you. I said, would you like to see what he looks like? And he goes, that's morbid, dude. And I showed him a picture of him because at the time my brother was campaigning for sheriff in Union County. And he sees this picture. He sees this picture of Cyrus. Now, just looks different, got the clean cut haircut, wearing a suit and, smiling, looking great for the photo. And he was taken back. He sat down for a hot minute. He was like, dude, man, no. He's like, you don't understand. We did a memorial show for him.
Oh my gosh.
That is true, and that is a true story. All because that he basically just dropped off the face of the earth with the wrestling when he stopped working in North Carolina and moved back to South Carolina. He just didn't keep touch with anybody, and everybody just assumed the worst because it was just like he disappeared.
Wow.
I mean, it's a little funny, but also at the same time, if you look at the other side of the coin, it's such a thing to think that this was a guy that apparently made enough impact on these people that when they were under the assumption that this person may have passed away, that they had enough respect for him to do this for him,
to do all that stuff for him.
Wow. And so that's the beautiful side of the story.
Missy wants to know, what was your manager name? You said it, but she didn't hear it.
It was Dylan McGregor. It was a stupid name. I'll tell you how that came up. I took two hats and I threw in celebrity names. And the two names that I drew up was Bob Dylan and Ewan McGregor.
So there you go.
and I was like, Bob McGregor, Ewan Dylan McGregor. That's not
okay. It's the best one out of the three.
And I didn't think about it. I could have just threw those names out and just drawn again, I mean, heck, I know a guy that called himself Evolution Pink, and I think that's the worst nickname for a wrestler.
Hey, I hope he was tough. That's all I have to say. I hope he was tough.
Yeah, so I know the guy. I can tease him a little bit. He's actually my wife's cousin. So
okay, I gotcha.
I was in this business doing all the things that he dreamt of doing when he was still paying his $10 to see me on that ring. So
okay. Well, I'll tell you what, I'm gonna play a real quick promo from a show that you mentioned earlier. You were talking about AWL, I believe.
Yes.
And we're going to play that promo from your heavyweight champ. So here it is. And when we come back, there's a question from a wrestler that he wants to know, that he wants you to answer. So we'll be right back with that. Here we go.
March 5th, AWL inauguration takes place at the Welford Pavilion. And Pro Wrestling Union heavyweight champion, the All-American Blue Chipper, will defend his title against Luca Daniels. A good talent, tough little kid, strong kid. But what he's not is an All-American Blue Chipper. What he's not is a champion. What he's not is Chase Emery.
No, he's not. And Luka Daniels, you are nowhere near close to being the Pro Wrestling Union champion.
Never.
And you know what? The only reason why you're getting this opportunity, because me and the G are letting you.
Exactly.
So you know what? You're welcome. So March 5th, Luka Daniels, you're lucky to be there. We're not going to be lucky walking out.
Since you're not picking up what we're putting down,
You're going to be kicking your ass
up off the ground.
That's what I'm talking about right there.
And you know what? That's going to be a tremendous match. I mean, this is a straight shoot. That's going to be a tremendous match because you got two tremendous young talents. Chase Emery, amateur wrestling champion, has went from being like under the radar to just basically blowing up everywhere. And Luka Daniels, who's been one of the sorry, I'm losing my voice a little bit, who's been one of the hardest working young guys to be in this business and under 3 years in the business.
Yep.
And he's had an opportunity to be on WWE main event. And he's wrestling all over the Carolinas into Georgia. And he's actually going into all the other places. So it's going to be a great match.
He is I'll say it. He is a multi-heavyweight champion. He is in multiple places as their heavyweight champion.
Yeah.
And I'm proud of the guy. He is probably one of the biggest things in the Southeast right now, without a doubt, in our area.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I cannot agree with you more.
There's not a show that if you mention Chase Emery's name that they don't know who you're talking about. I guarantee it.
He's got great things lining up, too. There's do you remember the Blade and the Thunder, the original foundation? I do.
Well, there you go, Chris Thunder.
I actually saw another comment that was on here that was actually from Chris Thunder Anderson when he said he thinks that he remembers my brother. So yeah, even though that I was like still new to the business, whether I was on part of the shows as his manager or not, because there were some shows I was allowed to be the manager. Sometimes I still had to just sit out in the crowd and whatnot, which was fine. But I was still in that learning curve because I was still learning the business when I was doing all that with my brother. So I remember seeing guys like Chris Anderson, Scotty Black, STD. There was God, the name's escaping me. There was this guy that was he was a Western Carolina University football player. Had like long gold, like blonde hair, had the good look. He basically he looked just like Test, Andrew Martin.
Okay.
Looked just like him, just not as tall, but he was in phenomenal shape and everything like that. And Billy Silver was his name.
Billy Silver, okay.
Billy Silver was his name, and he was a fantastic young wrestler. And I don't ever know what happened to a lot of these guys. Now, of course, I know that Chris Anderson, he's still kicking ass and taking names. And
Very much so.
Yeah. Oh, I would hate to be the guy that has to be on the opposite end of that ring with Chris Thunder Anderson. I'm just throwing that out there. Nicest. Okay, I'm going to be honest with you. One of the nicest guy behind the curtain, but when he goes through that curtain, that personality has turned off. He wears that shirt, mean, evil, and nasty for a reason.
Right.
So
I've sat many times and listened to him talk about wrestling and never ever got bored. Many times he has sat and I could sit there for 3 hours listening to him tell his stories. It's just amazing. He is a wealth of wrestling knowledge, let me tell you, without a doubt. Harry Bernard Taylor, when you were talking about being your manager, he said you could have went with Stone Cold Mac.
Oh dear Lord! That actually kind of reminds me of Dimples. Yeah, I guess I do.
I know said Dimples, but I'm back to Harry. Harry Bernard Taylor, Harry and Chris. You guys got to check out their podcast. It's called Straight Up Wrestling Show. Go on there without a doubt. Hit the like. They're in a group. So hit that, watch them. They come on all hours of the day and night. They don't have a set schedule. So go on YouTube, hit up Straight Up Wrestling Show. Hit that bell for notifications so you know when they come on. Great wrestling. They cover everything from indies. They go to indie shows just like I do, and they also cover AEW, WWE, NXT, the whole 9 yards. Go and check them out. Straight Up Wrestling Show.
All right. So, and I know we
Cole McAbee.
let me tell you something. When I was wrestling for Action Pack Wrestling, when it was still called American Pro Wrestling Chester, that was the original name of that APW entity.
Right.
The guy that is currently working as Brian Kanabrowski's right-hand man, Patrick Wright, he and I became a tag team, and James McComb, he was our manager. They were trying to do this heel run with me because I had this streak over there where I was the biggest baby face. So they were wanting to turn the tide on me and let me be heel, and fans wouldn't let me. So so they needed to get somebody that would generate the heat for me. You're welcome, sir. So they put me with James McCollum, and then they put me with Patrick Wright. And Patrick was known as Perfect Patrick. So they were like, well, we got to give you a name. And James McCone, I'm not sure if it was James McCone that actually came up with it or another wrestler named Oscar. I don't know if you know who that is.
Oh, Oscar, come on. He was one. When I started off watching EWF before they became HWA, Oscar was a mainstay there. So, yes, I know who Oscar is.
So I think now that I'm thinking about it, it could have been Oscar, and it might have been a joke or whatnot. But he's like, well, if he's perfect Patrick, because this is how Oscar talks. He's Perfect Patrick. He needs to be cool Cole. There you go. You got perfectly cool. So that became the name. I was Cool Cole McAbee, and the thing was, I never came off as, and I still don't come off as cool. I don't. But they made me do the sunglasses thing, and they wanted me to say things like cool all the time. And that was just not my thing, not even as a heel. I mean, I was snarky and sarcastic, and I can make you feel stupid, if I wanted to.
You got to straighten something out here. Ron Emerson had to straighten something out for us. He said, when he said Dimples, when Roy said Dimples, he was talking about Chase Emery. That's his name for Chase.
But I got dimples, Ron. See these dimples under my furry face? Damn
it. Christopher Burton, the other half of Straight Up Wrestling Show. Thanks, man. How you doing, brother? Whatever happened to Oscar? That's a good question. I don't know what happened to Oscar. He just kind of disappeared. I don't know.
I think he got married and had children and settled down, and that's almost scary to imagine.
Right. Because I remember when he came to the ring in EWF, his big old thing was, I'm 250 pounds of lean, mean sex machine, or whatever he said. Big old long saying that he said every time.
Yeah, 100. 150 pounds maybe. Yeah, he was always in great shape, but he
feel something like.
he had almost no neck, and he's got like the good shoulders, the chest, but then when you got down to like below the chest area cavity to the waist, and it just kind of went down to like almost frog legs.
But he could wrestle. Man, could that guy wrestle?
Yeah, in fact, I wrestled him a couple of times, and he's constantly fast. Like you cannot slow him down. One of the best
at a tag team at EWF. That's terrific, right there. They are, right?
One of the best things, and this is a shoot. I was going to be working him again for another APW Chester show, and I was talking to Zach Salvation, who was one of the best wrestlers at the time. No joke, he was just tremendous. Zach told me, he was like, well, you know how to slow him down, don't you? And Zach, just as serious as he can be, he goes, stiff him. He said, if he's going too fast for you, stiff him. And surely enough, I clocked him with one good forearm shot. Next thing you know, he slowed the pace down. And then afterwards, Oscar's like, hey, brother, let me ask you a question, brother. Any heat out there, brother?
The way you talk.
Yeah.
So what was the last wrestling organization that you wrestled for, that you actually wrestled or managed for?
Okay, well, technically it was mine. The very first. Okay, I'll explain. The very first Pro Wrestling Union show, I was going to have my last match there. I had already decided it was going to be me and Big Country versus the Soul Patrol, just because of our all of our history together, and it was meant to be just a fun match.
Right.
And this is pulling the curtain back. Okay, I'm the promoter. I am a person that doesn't believe if you are the promoter and the booker of the show, you need to be booking yourself in the high positions unless you have no choice. I got bukus of talent on this show. I've got guys like Brady Pierce, one of the best wrestlers, best young wrestlers out there on the scene today, who's also working on shows like Heels on Stars. Randy Wayne, Josh Powers, Joey Ford. I mean, there's people that, if I'm gonna have my last match, I'm gonna have it with people that I love dearly, that I'm gonna have fun with. And Dion and Dreams, they're like, well, we're putting you over, boss man. I said, no, you're not. Because this is my last match. It makes no sense for me to go over in my last match.
Right.
Big Country is like, oh man, I'll let you get the pin. I'm like, no, dude, that's not the way this works. I said, I'm taking the pin. I'm taking the pin, and when it's over with, I want to shake your hand. I want to give you guys a big hug. I want to raise your hands in the air, and I want Soul Patrol to go out there and party like they always do.
Right,
and
right.
that's what they did. And was it a great classical wrestling match? No, but from start to finish, because of the personality that was in the ring, everybody was having a good time from start to finish. And that was my last match. And that meant more to me because that was also the first time my son, Cage, my oldest, first time that he ever saw me wrestle. And I don't even have the match recorded because my family, my freaking family, instead of recording the match, they recorded Cage's reaction the entire match.
Oh,
So I've got a video of Cage who is reacting to me getting beat up on and him getting upset. But whenever I'm making a comeback, he's cheering. But then at the very end, he couldn't resist. He had to run to the ring, and I got out of the ring and I scooped him up.
Oh, that's great.
And I said, "How was it, son?" He said, "I love you, Daddy." And I said, "I love you too."
Oh, that's awesome. I love that. Now that's a story I'd love to hear.
So I got to be in there with three guys that I have high respect for. I have known Dion for the longest time. I got to know Sweet Dreams along the way, and Big Country and I have a special connection because when Big Country started getting into the business, I was the first person that ever got in the ring with him to show him bumping and stuff like that. I never trained Big Country.
Right.
But I was the first person to get in there and show him the proper stuff. So that way it prepared him for getting in there because he quotes that Sweet Dreams is the guy that trained him. That's true. Sweet Dreams took the ball and ran with him because that's a fountain of knowledge. He was able to pass that information on to Robert. Right. But I was able to get in there, show him what a bump looks like, and show him a few other little things, and see, there you go. But yeah, those guys, the person that trained Big Country was Sweet Dreams. That guy right there, Mark Sweet Dreams Howard, one half of the Soul Patrol, the first Omega heavyweight champion.
Now, I would be remiss if you're talking about Big Country. Big Country's retired, one of our favorite wrestlers in this area. And if you're watching Big Country, we miss you, buddy. We miss you.
Yeah. So I know we talked about all that other stuff, and I know that Raw is going to be coming on in a few minutes, and I don't want anybody to miss out on Raw, whether they're going to sit there and love it or whether they're going to sit there and crap on it. Leading up to WrestleMania, do we have questions? Ask me anything. Ask me who I love, who I don't like. I don't care. Ask me my favorite ice cream. I don't care. I want this to be a Q&A, man.
All right, here we go. All right, Cole McAbee's calling for the question, guys.
I'm an open book. Missy is the only person that's asked me some legitimate questions, and I love her for it.
She's asked you some. Brandon's asked you some. Cole, Brandon wanted to know if you've ever wrestled for SWA or EWF.
I never had the opportunity to wrestle for them. I had been called in one time back when Wicked was still around for SWA, but But unfortunately, I was already booked during that time frame, and he had always told me, "Well, I'll keep you in the loop and stuff like that." So
Missy wants to know who was your favorite opponent.
I actually have two that I'm going to rank up there. The very first one was a guy named Frank Nash. He was a APW Chester original. Me and him had some stellar matches together, but as far as my overall favorite opponent that I've ever been in the ring with, a lot of people would say it was Derek Vanderford because we've had good matches, but it's Cauliflower Chase Brown.
Oh man,
That guy is a tremendous athlete, has a tremendous mind for the business as far as the psychology, and I'm a person that loves to chain wrestle. I love chain. And a lot of guys don't understand the concept of what makes chain work unless they're taught a certain way. And Chase was, he's a student of catch wrestling. He's understanding of how like holds and moves work. So we were able to work matches where we could sit there and just kind of go back and forth between holds.
It looked like a rotation match.
Yes. And it was always great. It was always fun. And Chase Brown, and I wish he would get back in the ring real soon because he's a tremendous performer.
Luke wants to know what's your favorite food.
Chicken Parmesan.
Chicken Parmesan. Okay.
Chicken
Parmesan. I can put a thumbs up to that. Brandon Ledford. Who's your favorite unbookable? Why is it Chris Thunder Anderson?
You know what? Scott Larson's going to hate me for this. I like all the unbookables.
I don't know about that.
I like the unbookables.
Unbookable stable. I like too. I have to give them a hard time because who the bad guys, good guys. You know how it goes.
I like Boomer. I love Cruz Lewis. Cruz was one of my favorite people in the entire business. He was he was always good to me. He was always nice to me. Whenever he had a nugget of knowledge to pass to me, he was always there to do it, and always treated me very respectfully. And the couple of times I ever got in the ring with him, I had always heard from other people before I got in the ring with him that how he was like stiff, he will hurt you and all that other stuff. That man took care of me every single time, and it was always a pleasure.
Right. Missy, now here's a good question. I usually ask this. Thank you, Missy. Tell us how you felt the first time you walked through the curtain. First time you walked through the curtain as a manager, because you did that first, right?
Yeah. So the first time I did that, it was it's almost like first night of performing on stage when you got that audience for the first time. There's always the jitters and the excitement. So it was like that, but it was amplified for some reason because this isn't something that I had rehearsed over and over and over again. This was spontaneity. This was improv. This was me going out there being this shithill guy, in a suit and a tie, the sunglasses, and pretending to be some agent for my brother who I'm saying, oh, well, I'm going to get this guy signed to WWE. Like being a ripoff of Paulie Dangerously in a way, and not in a good way either, to be honest, because there's only one Paul Heyman.
Oh, yeah.
But I mean, I went out there, I'm like saying things like, well, I'm counting 32 people on this side of the room, so congratulations, we got a full set of teeth in the audience. There was one time that they had to sneak me out of the building because we were at this one show in North Carolina. There's a lot of Indians up there, Native Americans, and I did the stupid thing, thinking I'm just going to draw heat. I get on that microphone and I go, "Oh." They didn't like that. They also didn't like that I told them that in 30 minutes that I was going to be leaving this building and going to the casino, so they better be there with my chips and my drinks and my room keys ready. They didn't like that at all. The guy that ran the show, I forgot his name, but he handed me my little envelope that had $25 in it. He's like, "You got to leave right now."
You better.
There's a couple of guys that are waiting for you, and they are none too happy. And it scared me. But looking back, that's when I realized, oh my God, I made it. You
did your job, as everybody say, right?
I did my job. So
Missy's got a question, but I'm going to ask it to you at the point of view of you being an owner and a promoter. So she said, it's the little things. What are those to you? What are the little things to you that makes your promotion different or a good promotion?
And you know what? It's not even for me to say whether or not I have a good promotion or not. That is actually on the basis of one, the people that come to my shows, whether or not I draw 50 people in the crowd, 100 people, 200 people, and the people that choose to work for me.
Okay.
And I use that because a lot of people will sit there and go like, "Oh, these are my boys. You know, this is my guys. That's my roster." Okay, first off, unless there's a contract involved, you have no ownership over these guys. They have no other obligation to other than what you guys agree on. So I don't sit here and say, "Well, this is my guy" or anything like that. Chase Emery, he's not my guy. Colby Carino is not my guy. JD Drake is not my guy. Bebop is not my guy. We have an understanding. I want them to perform at my show because I think that these guys are great performers, and I think that they are going to do good work for what I want to see. They are agreeing to be part of my show, so it's a mutual respect for change. So little things like that, if you got respect for one another, you got an understanding of how the business needs to be or should be, you're going to have something. You're going to have something that's going to be a lot better because I've been around enough promotions where there's always animosity or some heat or something like that in the locker room. Somebody doesn't like what this person does. Somebody feels like they need to be in this spot. And I always hated that in the business. That was the one thing I've always hated about the business is the drama. And that was actually something that was part of my locker room for a small bit of time. And it was not something that I was inviting. It was by somebody else. And the moment that it hit, I got rid of it. And
Right.
ever since then, my experience with Pro Wrestling Union has been the best. I don't care, like I said, if it's 30 people in the audience or if it's 100 people, 200 people. I can honestly say, without a shadow of a doubt, from start to finish, since January of this last year, when I had to make the changes that I needed to make, it has been the absolute happiest I have ever been as far as this business goes.
And it shows. I mean, I'm not saying that your shows were bad before then, but they have gotten really, really good here recently. I mean, everybody raving about Pro Wrestling Union. You got
every single
HWA fan club. People talk about Pro Wrestling Union more than they do anything else to me, and that's telling you something.
And I appreciate that. And every single one of the guys, and now that I'm getting the opportunity, because in May we're going to book the very first women's wrestling match, something. And the thing is that I was very meticulous about that because I wanted it to be, I wanted it to be right. I looked for people that I knew that were based off of what I was heard, respectful, professional, female wrestlers. And I got the opportunity to book both Casey and Brittany, and I'm looking forward to what they're going to create right there in the ring. And the thing is that they could honestly, any of these guys can do this in any promotion. And this is me pulling that curtain back. These guys can go to any promotion, work their tails off, give you a stellar 5-star, 10-star match at any promotion. The thing that I want is for the people that come in, I want them to feel like they're appreciated. I want them to feel like they got a place that they can do what they do and be happy doing it. And I enjoy being part of that. It's being a part of it. That's it.
You mentioned this, Ron, and let me tell you, and I will say this, I can admit it. There has not been a show in the last at least 2 years that Cole hasn't invited me to and said, "Just come. You're always welcome." I'm serious. He said, "As soon as you come, you'll get right through the door. Don't worry about it. Just come." And I haven't been able to get to one yet. The closest he came was Spartanburg, and it just so happened that was the same night HWA was booked. And well, everybody knows.
And I didn't hold it against you. I didn't sit there and go, That's Scott Larson, that red bastard piece of shit. No, I ain't doing that.
We've always been good friends. We understand how it goes. Casey is the best. Everybody's saying Casey. Oh, look at this. Ron said he'll come get me. Okay.
There you go.
Well,
from the same himself. So.
I might have to take you up on that offer, Ron, if you're offering to come get me. Missy said, I appreciate all you do for this business. We've watched them on YouTube and enjoy them. Only one thing would make it better for me. Okay, Missy, what would make it better?
I know what she's going to say.
What's she going to say?
I know.
Uh-oh. Well, we're going to hold on and wait for that. I'm seeing if I missed anything because these guys are. Oh, Ron. I love Ron. He said, plus you mentioned Raw. Pro wrestling viewers watch Scott Larson on the phone and their tablet while they watch the show on their TV. It's real easy. I love it. Thank you, Ron. I appreciate that, buddy. Oh, and again,
I tried
don't miss the Wrestling Wire with Ron Emerson. He's great. He is a guy though that will tell you how he feels though. If you don't want a guy who's going to tell you how he feels, he is one of those, and I love him for it. He's straightforward. Great guy, great show. You don't want to miss it. Any other question got? Oh, Missy said Jumping Jeff Farmer's the only thing that's missing.
Yep. I gotta do it, Scott. I gotta do it.
Go ahead.
Yep.
Go ahead.
I don't like when things don't go my way. You turn the tables on me, Motley Cruz. You turn the tables on me in the wrong way. Now you got me mad now. So now it's my turn to challenge you, Motley Cruz. Step into that ring with me and feel full force.
And that was perfect. Oh my gosh. Missy and them had me watching the old shows that Jumping Jeff and all of them, and Tony the Spider. Luke said Tony the Spider.
It is the second best promo.
Oh my god.
The first, and I had to rediscover this, and I will send this to people nowadays, and I'm not going to repeat a lot of the stuff that he says because I understand there's kids that might be watching this thing. Thank you. So, best promo. You've got Freight Train, who's getting ready for his match with Eugene for the $5 wrestling championship. And, and you know, you got Jake, who's always with him and, you know, tries to keep him wrangled in, but this one he couldn't keep him wrangled in because during the process he had to hide behind Freight Train, and he's dying laughing because Freight Train just dead straight just says, Eugene, I'm gonna kick the shit out of you, you retarded motherfucker. You called me an MFer. Now it's my time to call you a motherfucker. I'm gonna call and the entire time Jake is hiding behind him, behind a chair. You can see him just like convulsing. He's like
great. That is great. You gotta send it. You gotta send it to me.
And it is gold. It is gold.
She's buying a ticket for Saturday. She could care less where Christmas. There's the wife put down we were talking about earlier in the show. Bam.
Man.
Oh yeah.
Ron Emerson's laughing his ass.
Now we've got to talk about this show before we go. We definitely have to talk about this show. HVW and Pro Wrestling Union coming together. I'll let you do the honors there. So, wrong one. There we go. All right. There we go.
All right. So, as we have already discussed, we have Pro Wrestling Union Mayhem on May the 6th. The following night, Saturday night, it's going to be in Sylvan, North Carolina. It's a joint venture between Pro Wrestling Union, Heroes to Legends Wrestling, and High Velocity Wrestling. Sorry, I'm getting a little bit of hiccups here. Answer the call. This is actually where the proceeds actually come in to help benefit the Jackson County Rescue Squad. They've allowed us to come in and do several shows for them, at least twice a year over the last couple of years. We always have a great turnout. We always got a great show. We got great stuff on this card. We got guys from Texas, the Texas heavyweight champion, Bam Bam Malone, who is an awesome wrestler, going against Alexander Koloff. And in his corner, the NWA legend himself, Nikita Koloff. John Schuyler, Impact Wrestling superstar, is going to be facing Chase Emery. And if he still got that title after Colby Carino, or wait a minute, before we get to Colby, before Luca Daniels, if he can get past Colby Carino, and JD Drake is already challenging for that heavyweight title.
Wow.
So if he can get past those guys, he's not going to get a break from the very next night if he happens to make it that far, whoever the champion is. Right now it's Chase. So if Chase can make it that far, he doesn't stop at JD Drake. He goes straight on to the Southern Savior, John Schuyler. We got one of your favorite tag teams defending their HVW tag team championships. It's the New Age Villains. They're going against JD Drake and the Outlaw Randy Wayne, the Blue Collar Outlaws. You got Ghazi, a young, fantastic talent. You got Drew Hood, the HVW heavyweight champion, Crucifix, the Foundation, Kay Holiday, the Bible Club, another major tag team on the Texas wrestling scene. So this is a huge, huge show. And also, this is a $10 ticket for seeing NWA legends, top wrestling talent. They're on TV right now.
Look at that, people. General admission, $10. Look at the names. JD Drake, Nikita Koloff is going to be there. John Schuyler. I mean, these are top tier names for $10. I mean, the Blue Collar Outlaws. Them two guys tagging together. I mean, Randy Wayne and JD Drake tag teaming together is worth the price of admission. I mean, and then they're going up against the New Age Villains. My goodness.
Yeah, so Gary Benfield, aka Viper, aka the owner of HVW, he went ahead and got that match booked together. Plus, Crucifix, he's defending his championship as well against Kay Holiday. So you got a good mixture of Pro Wrestling Union talent. You got a good mixture of high velocity wrestling talent. We're bringing in the guys from Texas who are just tremendous, fantastic wrestlers that these guys have not seen in this area. But I promise you, $10 is steal, because each of these shows that are being presented, this is $10. I understand that there's wrestling promotions that bring in big names, everything like that, and that's great because they put on great shows. But ticket prices go up on some of those names, on some of those shows. We're not doing that. We're doing that for $10. That show in North Carolina, that's going to be at Silva, North Carolina. That's going to be at the Jackson County Rescue Squad right there in Silva. So shouldn't be too far for you, Brandon. I know you live right there in that area.
Any interest on bringing in Gunner, who has started working locally again?
Well, yeah, because long story short, I have a history with Gunner, a.k.a. when I knew him as a wrestler, he was Phil Shatter. Me and him have known each other for a very, very long time. So now that we know that he's back in the area, and I have talked to him just once, just to check in on him and everything like that. No business talk, because, I don't want to be like, hey, can I bring you in? No, when you haven't talked to somebody that you've known for years, you at least just get to know them a little bit more. Just say, hey, man, I know it's been a while. Proud of you, brother. You ever need to talk or anything like that. And I know he's got a lot of stuff lined up as well. So we're going to see what we can come up with, because I do have a few things that I haven't brought up because anticipation.
Right.
If you like what I'm doing, Scott, if you like what I'm doing right now, I promise you, the second half of the year, you're going to really dig what I've already got in
mind. You are really making me go to Pro Wrestling Union. You are just pulling me in.
Oh, look, man. Here's the hook.
There it is.
I'm not talking about Taz the Son, man, and he's great too.
That is it. Cole, you asked if I'll put the page? Yes, sir. I definitely will. Right after the show is over, I will put all the posters up on my page so everybody can see them. Everything that we've put on here, including Explosion. I'll leave the dates under it where you can or where you can see Explosion on YouTube. Put that information underneath it. He's grabbing a belt. What is he doing there?
I'm going to help you out a little bit because on March 26th in Union, South Carolina, we already got a great card with Cole McAbee going against the heavyweight champion Chase Emery. But don't forget, we got to crown brand new tag team champions right here. Scott had told me a while back that these were his favorite looking tag team belts. Hopefully they still are.
They are. Those things are beautiful.
So, and they're heavy. They haven't been working out for a while.
Broken toe story. Are you talking about my broken toe story?
No, he's talking about me.
You have a broken toe story too, huh?
Actually, I got several, but I know which one he's talking about. I break my toes a lot, but this one is the last one.
Okay.
So,
Ron, he was saying it like 3-4 times. I thought he was talking about mine, so I kind of skipped it. And now that I know,
broken.
sorry.
All right. So, do you know who James Self-Standard is?
Not offhand, but of course I can always look him up. So.
All right, James Self-Standard. How can I put this? He is a living cartoon character. I mean, he actually comes to the ring with a piece of wood called plank. He actually stole this from a cartoon show, Ed, Ed and Eddie.
I know who you're talking about. I do know who you're talking about.
So we did a birthday party. They had me wrestling James Self-Standard, and James and I, we've known each other for a long time. So I had the match with James. He didn't fare so well because this was during my cruel stage, so nobody could handle myself as the devious heel,
right?
Because But anyway, long story short, I beat James very badly, made him submit. No, I knocked him out with a lariat. I'm sorry. And this was during a kid's birthday party. You had kids watching the show and all this other stuff. Well, I took the piece of plank and I put him on the ground, facing vertical, facing one of the kids, and I measure up, Let's get the angle right. And I punted it, and it went straight into a kid's face.
Oh, what happened?
Now, I walk back like I'm like the worst human being on the earth. Don't care. Get that kid some ice. He'll, this is a learning curve for him. Duck next time. I get into the back, and then I go, oh my God, I broke my toe. I used to own wrestling boots. I sold my wrestling boots to Buck Carter before he had to retire from wrestling.
Right.
So all I had left was my old wrestling shoes from high school. Wrestling shoes have no hard spots. It's completely soft. It's basically just wearing a sock with shoelaces.
Right.
I full on punted a piece of wood into a kid's face at a distance of almost 30 feet, to be honest with you. Not
Did it
very
hurt?
far. Not very far. But it was a kick, and I broke my toe because I completely forgot that wrestling shoes have no hard toe or anything like that. So basically, that's what happened.
What happened to the kid? I'm just curious.
Afterwards, because in my infinite kindness, because I honestly, I try not to be mean to people in real life.
Right.
I invited him to the back, and I said, if it makes you feel better, I broke my toe. And number two, I want to give you one of my T-shirts. That was just my way of saying, parents, please don't sue me.
Right. Of course, you didn't say that, but yeah.
but no, the kid it barely hit him. It actually hit him on the shoulder, and even he said like, oh no, it scared me. But he said, I promise I'm not hurt. And I'm like, well, I broke my toe, so hopefully you can take solace in that for me being a jerk. So, I broke the kayfabe. So sometimes you have to do that. And I even got on to Ron Emery for that, Emerson for that one time, but that was because it was his own kid. But I didn't know that at the time. So
You said the plank got over on you.
hey, look, man, I broke my toe on the piece of wood, but he was the one that went sailing. I hear children. Hold on.
But I'll tell you what, for you to be able to kick that plank, hey,
I got Superman.
You got Superman shirt. This
you
one,
got Superman?
this one's my youngest. This one's Caden. We call him
Hi.
Wee Man.
Hey, wee man, how you doing?
I got a Superman shirt.
Yeah, Superman.
Oh, are you Superman?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Can you fly?
You say hi.
Hi.
Hi. Now tell him bye.
Bye.
All right, you going in? Okay. I'll be near. I'll tuck you in a moment. Okay? All right, bye.
Here we go. Mr. Disney said, "What's up, Cole McAbee and Scott Larson? How you doing, sir?" They're coming in now, hot and heavy again. Byron said, "It's been a while for a show. How's it going?" Look, I am wondering if you can see me, the Bear Pig, Byron, or you can see me as someone else. I just left another show live with G. I don't know what any of that's about. I have no idea.
I mean, you can call me Gene if you want to. I mean, it is. I mean, I'll be Gene. We can change it with Scott.
Bringo said you should have thrown the towel. You should have thrown the towel instead of kicking the board.
I never throw in the towel. Okay.
Superman is cool. Okay.
Batman
that one.
is better.
Batman is better. I agree with you. I'm a huge Batman fan. I agree with you. That's another one you can tell. I got no problem with that. Jimmy Ward saying some pissed off woman and a crying kid walking towards Gorilla. I was like, oh, jeez.
But that's all it was. Ron, he was explaining a situation that was happening in the ring, and I didn't know it was his kid. But I just thought, he was just like, "Oh, don't worry, little girl, it's not real." And I'm like,
was it tough for you when you kicked that plank and hit the kid in the face to turn around and act like your heel self? To turn around and go, yeah, you should have took it like a man and blah blah blah, walking away. Was that hard for you? I mean, because
there's something that happens to you internally that you don't let out.
Right.
It's something that I've actually had to do before for a show, and this is digging into the plot. Not that I kicked another piece of wood into a kid's face. No. When I was a heel, like I said, APW Chester, I could, like, people could not boo me. I had to think of a way for people to boo me. They had this one little girl whose name was Hannah, who always made these shirts with my name and my face on all the time. She was a huge Cole McAbee fan. And one day I went out there. I was like, I got to get my heat. So we did an interview. And I go out there and I do my promo, and I'm like, what have I got to do to you people to make you understand? I don't like you. And I'm like going dark with it. I'm like, you can enter a car. You can drive off this lot into that highway, crash and burn for all I care. I don't care. I'm still making my money. But you guys want to sit there and go, yay, we love you. We love you. I hate you. I detest you. And I looked at that little girl and I said, especially you. You are the very epitome of everything that is wrong with this business, because you think just because you're cute that you think you're going to get your way. You want me to sign that little shirt of yours, sweetheart? I'll sign that shirt of yours. Bring it over here. And I go down there with a Sharpie, and she had the shirt, and I signed the shirt, and I personalized it. And James McCollum's holding the microphone in my hand. And I go and I put it right there in her hands, and I look her dead in the eye, and I said, "Kiss my ass," and ripped the shirt.
Oh, wow!
Finally got my heat. Finally, I had people throwing shit at me. I finally did it. But here's what happened that night. Once I went back and everything like that, the parents of this little girl was so upset over my performance that they went directly to the promoter, Doug Hawkins. And I was told to go out there behind the scenes and apologize and everything like that. And because of that, the moment I get my heat, Doug and James McCone, they go, well, we've agreed to turn you back to babyface. So
you work so hard to get your heat, and then you get the heat, and then, well, we got to turn you back.
So the very next show we did, I made it like seem like I had regrets for doing what I did. Abel Adams comes out, and Abel's a big scary dude. He comes out there and he's like, "I'm gonna break my foot off in your ass for what you did to that little girl." And they wouldn't let me talk, like James and my partner. We lose the tag team titles. We were tag champions at the time, and we lose them to Abel Adams and his partner, Team Ego. And then they turn on me because I was the one that got pinned, and I got my sympathy back. And I was like, I went through all of that just to go back to being a babyface. I had finally made it, and they went, nope.
Bam said, "What's going on, Bam?
What's up, sir?" But we are going on about an hour and a half, and as I had probably you heard me said, I'm going to help put my kids to bed. It's my ritual. I love doing that with my kids.
I could have listened to you for an hour more, but Cole, I really appreciate you being on. I think there's something wrong with my microphone, but I really appreciate you coming on and telling us everything that's going on. I love the stories. You know, you're welcome back on hashtag anytime, sir. Please, without a doubt, come back after some of these shows and let us know what happened. If I'm not able to get there, without a doubt, you're always a pleasure to talk to, and you tell it like it is, and I love that about you. I appreciate you being on, man.
And thank you. I always have fun being on here with you, Scott. That is no joke. Thank you for everybody that was willing to submit questions, because I always felt like that was something that was always missing every time I got on here. Nobody really asked me any questions, and I was determined.
You put a big thing under there under advertisement, and I came on 3 hours early and said, "Hey, please come on and ask questions." He wants questions, so we got him this time, and I love it. But before we go, I have to do this. A good friend of mine's having a birthday today, so without doubt, Rhonda Ruff, hashtag Truth wants you to know to have a very, very special and happy birthday. We love you, Rhonda. Photographer and good friend of mine out at HWA. So always out here to make people happy, and Rhonda deserves to be happy. She's a great person. Great photographer. So, Cole, thank you very much. I'm going to end it like this, guys. If you have not seen Pro Wrestling Union, let me show you all the stuff you're going to be missing. Please come out to these shows because they are action-packed with a lot of great superstars. Check this out. I mean, you got the Wrestling Classic coming up. You've got Pro Wrestling Union, HVW coming together, doing a show. You've got, check out Pro Wrestling Union Explosion on YouTube. 6 episodes are up. The 7th is about to drop soon. Also, you've got Pro Wrestling Union Mayhem coming up on May 6th. Look at that. JD Drake is going to be a part of it. And there's going to be the first women's match ever at Pro Wrestling Union. Casey Fox versus Brittany Jade. You don't want to miss any of it. And that is the hashtag
Truth.
Good night, y'all.